REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana makes car selling fast and easy from start to finish. Enter your license plate or VIN and get a real offer in seconds, down to the penny. If you accept, Carvana will come pick up your car from your driveway. Or you can drop it off at one of our car vending machines. Either way, you get paid instantly. It's fast, transparent, and 100% online. Car selling that saves your time. That's Carvana.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
You guys, welcome to another episode of What's Your Issue? My name is Troy McKeedy.
And I'm Dara Lane.
Dara Lane. Okay. Well, I spent your birthday with you, but if you could sum up how your birthday went to the listeners, give it a scale of 1 to 10. Like, how was your birthday overall?
I mean, it was a 20, baby. You know, no, it was a very reasonable 10, maybe even an 8, but it was on the good end of the spectrum. It was on the above average end of the spectrum. I was so happy to have you, my little mush there. I'm so glad that your tour worked out the way that it did, where you could spend my birthday with me. But we went to Palm Springs. And, we did go to not Caroline Stanberry, Marissa Hermer of Ladies of London, Marissa Hermer's restaurant, brand new restaurant, Bar Easy. And we drank Mai Tais out of a zebra.
Now, if you guys were Ladies of London heads, but you don't remember who that was, she was the girl that was like, wildly obsessed with Caroline Stanberry in a way that was like it teetered on being like it became like an erotic thriller between those two girls. But I loved her. Like, I just always loved her, and she would start every episode. She was an American, and she would always start every episode being like, word on the street is that Caroline Stanberry isn't getting along with so-and-so, and she just got a new bag. Everyone's saying it's a Birkin. Like, she was Gossip Girl and living in London.
She was our American girl in London. And yeah, a lot of people found her annoying, but she was one of those gals who was like, yeah, I can see why some people wouldn't like her, but I don't know. There's just something about her.
There's something about her. No, I loved her. And it was like, I thought the restaurant was awesome. It was so Palm Springs, so like tacky and like over the top, but in a fun way. It was like chic, maximalist,
yes,
clashing wallpapers and curtains and patterns and prints. And it was just so Palm Springs. I feel like Palm Springs and Miami have like, they're like cousins or sisters or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that's totally true. But yeah, great restaurant, Bar Easy. It's a part of the Thompson Hotel. But yeah, if you want like a shishi Palm Springs experience where you're not like old Palm Springs, like old gay Palm Springs, and you want like a classier joint,
Yeah.
There's like 2 classy restaurants, and no, there's like 3. There's like 3 like really nice restaurants in Palm Springs. The rest, like, to be quite honest, you're not Palm Springs is not a dining destination. But
Yeah.
Bar EC, you'll get good food. And then also Bar Cecil, where you can get a $50 martini, and if you drink 10 of them, you get a plaque on the wall, which I do have a plaque on the wall.
You're basically Trixie Mattel of Palm
I've
Springs at this point. Like at this point, it's like you're one Mexican restaurant dinner away from a star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, which by the way, there are in total around 70 Mexican restaurants on any given street in Palm Springs. It's like
fluff.
every other restaurant is an outdoor seating Mexican restaurant, which
Mhm.
that's my dream.
Oh, see, I didn't really realize that about you, Troy.
I love Mexican food. I love a Mexican restaurant. My mom and I, it's like, you want to go get Mexican? It's always that. Like, that's my favorite dining experience.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so glad I know that now. That's going to
Yeah.
change everything. It's going to change our
Yeah.
lives for me to know that.
Because, I feel like with Mexican restaurants, no matter how shitty or pinkies up they are, you can guarantee that you'll get something. There's something on that menu that you'll like, whether it's a good restaurant or like maybe a not so great restaurant. It's kind of a sure thing that you'll find something.
That's a great point. I mean, even if they're like pouring Tostino salsa type stuff into a bowl, which they never are, but even if it was that bad, it's like, I still like that.
I'd still like
little
that.
Salsa.
Exactly. Like I'll go in there and help them open the fucking Tostitos jar and just nuke it myself in the microwave. I love that.
Wow, now you've got me going on some salsa. Now I really want
And we're both dip girls. We both are like the kind of people that like somebody needs to come and take the dip from us because
Mhm.
and then we'll look up and have dip all over our fingers and be licking our fingers and like sticking our hands in our mouth like we're animals.
Oh, truly, when I get to the end of a queso, if you think I'm not taking a fingy around that bowl.
Oof. If you think that I'm not going to gather all the broken chips into one mega chip and then drag my fingers through the queso and just collect, yeah, you're out of your mind.
We're 2 little baby bears just like pawing food into our mouths.
And like when you try and take it, our instinct is to grab it back. Like we don't even know you're trying to. We just know that it moved. We want it to move back.
Wait, sorry. Yes, take this. I've eaten an entire bag in 15 seconds.
I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to grab your wrist. Yeah, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually you're doing this because you care. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Well, shall we get into what we are discussing today, which I am so excited about?
I mean, let's do it. Let's not waste another second on dip talk.
So, Dara, what is your issue?
Thank you for asking me such a pointed and relevant question. You don't get that a lot as a young pop star named Madonna.
As a beautiful young woman.
As a beautiful young woman. It is the June 1998 issue of New York Magazine, and specifically the article, Leo, Prince of the City, by a one Miss Nancy Jo Sales. Ooh.
So if you guys don't know, or maybe you do know, we have been doing iconic Nancy Jo Sales articles. We've been doing them for the month of November, and we're going to continue doing them. So far, we just did the Suspect wore Louboutins. I feel like it's important, obviously, to start with that. But this is this article is absolutely incredible. It's like not too long.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a nice little, look into what would later become known as the Pussy Posse. It was crazy.
Well, it's the Pussy Posse, and then it's also a window into Leo Mania.
Mm-hmm.
What I do find really interesting about this article compared to some of the other works of Nancy Jo Sales is this is what a journalist calls a write around article, WRITE, because basically she gets into it at the top that and throughout that she's trying to get an interview with Leo, and it's basically impossible at this point. He's already kind of like shutting down doing interviews and stuff like that, and she's trying to talk to all these people and get quotes from them about Leo, but nobody wants to talk because Leo is so powerful at this time period. People are so obsessed with him. He's so huge that nobody wants to piss him off. So she's having a really hard time getting quotes from people, and she also, cannot get him to like return a phone call to potentially, sit down with her. So she, throughout the article, she talks about how she's just going to nightclubs, trying to bump into him. And so she goes to all of these places, and it's like, oh, you just missed him or whatever. But
they all have like, when she gets to the places to find him, they all have some kind of like tale about him.
yes,
Like,
yes.
like it's like, so the build up in the article of her finally going to meet him was like incredible.
Exactly. So a right around article, in the suspect wore Louboutins. She had direct access to the subjects. She got to sit down with them, and then that becomes the meat of your article. So she's trying to, she's already been commissioned to write an article about Leo, but she's like, I cannot get him to sit down with me. I have nothing for this article. So she has to make the finding of Leo the meat of the article, that's like what a write around is. Like, how do you create an article that doesn't actually include the subject? Which is, I mean, really interesting because you can see how the article kind of just, it's like searching for Leo,
Yeah.
and that becomes like the meat of it.
I have to say, this is my all-time favorite kind of magazine interview. And I think it just kind of dawned on me that like interviews like this are why I grew up loving magazine interviews more so even than like, a sit down, because there's just something so intimate about it, and it feels like they can say more because it's in print and not in video. So I just love when an interviewer is like kind of dropped into the tornado of a celebrity's life, and then the article is about what they're observing, like from that person, and like, what kind of person they really are. Like, what do they eat? What are they wearing? How do they treat the people around them? How do they treat servers? So one very interesting thing about this article is that she never actually meets Leo. And this whole time, like the whole article is like other people's accounts of him. Like she goes and interviews people that work at the club, and she's like, what is he like? And they all talk about how he's an asshole and how he doesn't tip. And, they talk about how he comes in and out with all these different girls, and they're like, he's the moment. Like he comes in and we all know that he's the moment, and it won't last, but it's happening right now. And that's all that matters, is that Leonardo DiCaprio is the moment. But like, we were just talking off mic about the fact that she doesn't like get to him, and I didn't even really put that together because I was so interested in the article that she never actually interviews Leo.
Yeah, I will say, this is actually kind of a fun article to read, I think, after you listen to this episode, because I think you can read it more with the awareness of like, okay, this is a right around. She never gets to him, and this is her just sort of following his shadow, trying to get to him, which I think is really interesting, like knowing from the jump that she never gets it. The closest she gets to it is members of the Pussy Posse call her, leave a message on her voicemail where they're like, if you want to get to Leo, and she says you'll basically have to do something akin to what Monica did to Bill Clinton or something.
I'll read it to you. I wrote it down.
Oh, perfect.
Of course I wrote this down. She says, one night when I got home after looking for Leo, the name of the documentary, by the way, that will eventually happen, I'm sure, looking for Leo, there was a message on my answering machine. A group of young guys, they all sounded drunk, were laughing and cutting up in the background. It was kind of strange. The speaker was telling me that if I wanted an interview with him, I'd have to, quote, make a deal along the lines of doing something for him that Monica Lewinsky did for Bill. Then maybe we'll talk, he laughed. I'd been trying to get in touch with Leo, but nah, I thought it couldn't be Leo.
And I also listened to a podcast interview with Nancy Jo from like 2002 on The Ringer. And she says, about that call, she says, I did not recognize Leo's voice, but I will say I did recognize a couple people's on it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
She has got some saved, and she saves her audio.
Oh, I mean, one must.
She has some insane. I guess, like, before we get to Inside Baseball about it,
Yeah.
What is your journey with the Pussy Posse, like, and like the Don's Plum of it all?
Well, I mean, to start off, at least with Leo, because this is very, like, the Pussy Posse is the second character to Leo, because they're just so obsessed with him, and she talks about how they're always just in his orbit. They want to be with him 24/7. They all grew up together. And then once Leo got as famous as he did, they all sort of, it felt like, almost forgot about their careers for a second, because it was just, I guess, acting is hard. Getting a career going is hard. It's a lot easier to just be friends with the most famous person in the world.
Sure.
But so they're such a huge part of it, but like the entry point is 1998 Leo Mania. Titanic has come out. He's truly the biggest star in the world. And yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with Leo.
Yeah.
Truly, I had a poster of him on my wall that I would kiss. I watched every single movie. Like, I would just find whatever movie he was in for like 2 seconds, and I'd be like, I got to see that movie.
Yeah.
And then with the Pussy Posse, when they were in their prime, I was too young to fully, I think, comprehend that. Like, I didn't know enough inside baseball about like celebrity, like in-depth, like tabloid stuff.
Yeah, or like LA culture
or LA
deep
culture
cut kind of stuff.
And she also talks about too, the celebrity tabloid culture of it all was, we were really not completely there yet in 1998, because in this article, a big thing that she references a few times is that in LA, you're hounded by paparazzi, but it's not exactly like people giving tips or anything like that. Like, you go through a publicist in Los Angeles. But in New York, you can be a little more anonymous because there aren't like paparazzi on the street. But you're going to get those sort of inside stories, like in the way that she does, talking to a stripper, talking to a doorman. So yeah, there wasn't, I feel like prime Pussy Posse, they're not even getting as much coverage as they would have gotten once we're in like the 2000s. So I wasn't completely aware of them. But all I thought about was Leo. Like, I didn't really even fully comprehend in 1998 that he was, blowing through models all over town. I was just thinking of him as my love, my one true love, my one true androgynous,
Yeah.
blonde, silky-haired love.
Well, he sort of as a heartthrob, he transcended like all things. Like he was like everybody's type. Everybody loved Leo. And I think that Leo created a subcategory of heartthrob. Like you had like your Brad Pitts, you had your Tom Cruises or whatever, but Leo was like a J14 heartthrob that could act.
Yeah.
And like the difference between him and what felt like the difference between him and other stars that were like in the same subcategory as him is that he was the one that took acting like so seriously. Like he was to be taken seriously as an actor. His movies coming out were a big deal, especially so when this article was written, he's like in the middle of doing press for The Man in the Iron Mask. And it's like post Titanic, Leo was so just untouchable. I mean,
Yeah.
he had this like unimaginable power as a young person and this like you said, this androgynous beauty. Like he was really a unique heartthrob for the time while also being like such a cliche, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess just to kind of paint the picture, this is the opening of the article where she says, the group's core members consist of a frat house of young men, some of whom are actually famous, like Leo. There's Lucas Haas, who has not yet become Leo, and Tommy Maguire, the pensive youth in The Ice Storm, who is perhaps waiting to become Leo. And then there's Harmony Korine, the gummo boy, auteur, and David Blaine, the levitating magician, who was recently spotted zipping around town on his new motorcycle with Leo. They hit Moomba, Chaos, Veruca, and Envy, where Mariah Carey had to wait in line to get a meeting. I have fun with him, that's for sure, Leo said of Blaine 2 years ago when I was doing a story on the magician. He'll do some pretty fucking crazy shit. He's like a monkey with electrodes stuck in his head. And then she goes on to say that they also have this like second tier of men that are hanger-ons. So they're not A tier Pussy Posse, they're B tier. So they're like the guys that don't get the first call to show up somewhere, but they hear about it and show up and like can tag along. But it's like I do think that it's just like it's so weirdly New York. Like they
Yeah.
feel so New York and not LA to me, even though they were being debaucherous in LA. This is very like Sebastian from Cruel Intentions vibes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Another thing is that I heard in the podcast with Nancy Joe is that, like I said earlier, nobody would talk about Leo. She like could not get any person in the Pussy Posse to talk on record to her. But she said that there was one guy who was kind of one of the lower tier members who was currently on the outs with them, that he was her informant. And so throughout the article, she says something like a young actor. He was a member of the Pussy Posse on the outs, but she like made sure to hide his identity and like not even say that he was a member.
So have you seen Don's Plum?
Troy boy.
I know the answer to that, but I just had I had to tee you up.
Well, I know that you know the answer to that because there is an episode of this podcast, but I can't remember which one, where we go on and on and on about it. Or
about Don's Plum.
It actually might be a Patreon episode.
Okay.
But either way, we can discuss it.
Okay. I guess just to give the girlies who aren't aware of like what that
Yeah.
is or why it relates.
Don's Plum, do they get into what it is much in the article?
Yeah, they basically say that Don's Plum is like a project that Leo worked on like as a basically like a thank you for a friend, but he was in between Titanic, so like nobody had really known at that point how famous he would become in like a month. So by the time Titanic happens, they don't want Don's Plum out, and they don't want like Leo doesn't give a fuck about that movie. He's like the most famous person in the world. And his publicist and his team is like, also don't fucking release that because it makes him look bad.
Well, and he was saying, I think it also said that the person who really had a problem with it was Tobey Maguire. So Leo, as a friend to him, his number one, he was like, okay, I'll throw my weight around.
Right.
Yeah. This is killed. But Don's Plum is so interesting because it is just essentially them playing themselves, just improvising, and they're being themselves as a group of friends, and they're total fucking assholes. Womanizers.
Pigs.
They
are.
Also, realizing that Elizabeth Gilbert from Roseanne, which the second that came up, I was like, oh my God, that she was kind of an honorary member of the Pussy Posse because she had known Leo for so long, and all of them, because they were child stars together. It made me see her also like in a totally different way, thinking about Don's Plum, knowing that she was like the one mainstay girl hanging around.
She was like the frat princess of Don's Plum or whatever of the Pussy Posse. But yeah, they pretty much say like, you know, in being improvised, like in improvising their lines for this movie, they end up kind of making all themselves look really bad, and it reveals these parts of their personalities that you kind of can't unsee, that they're all like these homophobic, like chauvinistic pigs basically. And that they like, you know, Leo is just like such an asshole. And there are these scenes in the movie that would allude to some of them being like sort of bisexual, or at least like trying things with men. So then that was a whole thing where they were like, we look gay in the movie and we can't look gay. They actually, there's a quote where they talk about that, where they say the gossip mill has produced a cannonball run of beauties supposedly, quote, linked to Leo: Alicia Silverstone, Juliette Lewis, Kate Moss, Kate Winslet, who said to me, he's just a smelly farty Leo. Demi Moore, Bruce was in Delaware shooting a movie. Her is saying he was lousy in bed, the sex was bad. Also, Sharon Stone and Leo said of their on-screen kiss, I was expecting a little more from old Sharon, you know? Actually, she hurt my lip. And yet, DiCaprio still can't seem to shake the rumor that he's less than interested in the company of women. If I want to go to a party with he said, if I want to go to a party with a few male friends, it doesn't mean that I'm gay, Leo said. Totally, dude. After all, Sinatra hung out with Don Rickles, but that doesn't mean that he was having sex with him either. Leo is not gay. Yeah, I'm like, actually, Leo is not gay, laughs another young LA actor who was hung out with this crew. Leo is all about girls. So this rumor is already like a thing that Leo is maybe secretly gay. And then Don's Plum happens, and he's talking about like how horny gays are and how we fuck like bunny rabbits, and it's just insane. But all that to say, the movie makes all of them look really bad. And there's actually a really
anything that's redeeming. It's not like, oh, they're acting like assholes, but like you can still see that Leo charm or whatever it is.
Yeah.
you walk away from it like hairs on the back of your neck, just like, ugh, these are
Yeah.
the dregs.
Yes. But it does work as a look into the Pussy Posse. Like it kind of, now when you watch it, it feels like a documentary about like what they were doing and what their conversations looked like in between going to these nightclubs and like going to a diner after they've been partying all night. Like this is what it sounds like.
Well, I also think it's really interesting to watch it with the framework of that, in terms of they talk in the article about how like Tobey Maguire is being set up to be Tom Hanks,
Right.
and at this time especially, when little girls are so into Leo, we don't want to think of him as some shithead, and we don't think of him that way. We think of him as like sweetie pie. And to watch Don's Plum is to really give a window into like the PR persona that any actor is putting out there, any big movie star especially, is so not who they are. I mean, maybe for some people, but you always have to look at an actor or any celebrity and look at their persona with such a grain of salt, because they can be completely different behind closed doors, which is also why, when people get Me Too, when men got Me Too'd and stuff, and it would maybe be like, oh, that's a surprise, or I can't believe that, like Ellen, even. Like, oh, I can't believe she was actually an asshole behind closed doors. It's like, well, you watch Don's Plum and you see how the dichotomy can be so disparate between who they are and who they're presenting.
Yeah, it reminds me, to me, it just kind of reinforces that, like, even though we're not using like the old school Hollywood system anymore to make stars, like the Elizabeth Taylor, lie about your age, lie about this, pretend that you're married, say that you're 18, marry this guy. Like, maybe it's not to that extreme, but like it kind of still is. Like, we've repackaged the old Hollywood studio system with different verbiage, but like it's all the same,
Yeah.
It's turning these people into like playing cards, basically.
Like a guess who game of just little cards that you flip over. I don't know.
Right.
I
And they
just
have
thought of
like
guess who, and I, for some reason, felt the need to say it out loud. I don't know.
no, I get it. They're like Pokemon cards. It's like they have like 5 characteristics. It's like this person's funny, smart, down to earth, and pro LGBTQ, and that's their whole identity. Like, and we eat that shit up. And it's like, of course this guy's an asshole. He's hot, he's rich, he's young, everybody wants to fuck him. Like, he's got Hollywood by the balls. I mean, every director's dying to work with him. Every actor is afraid to talk poorly about him because he's so powerful. It's like crazy that we wouldn't be like, I wonder if he's a dick. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah.
Of course he is. Like, how could he not be? It also talks about in the in the article, um, uh, that like sort of how he, like Tobey Maguire wanted to be Tom Hanks, and that's how they were modeling his career, and Leo always wanted to be De Niro, and gritty actors like that. And it talks about how when he was a kid, um, he killed a pigeon, and then another instance where he was in school, like 8 years old or something, and he drew a swastika on his forehead, which when I got to that part, I was like, "Oh, now that's too far." But then it was like, because he was pretending to be Charles Manson, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's okay."
An actor he always was.
Oh, always, always.
No, it's so I love the way that this article is written. Even though she doesn't talk to him, even though she doesn't get to him, it's almost like better. Like,
Yeah.
it's more interesting to hear about what he's like through all these people. We find out for sure that he's a terrible tipper.
Yeah, many people say he is so cheap. Ethan Suplee says he's the kind of guy who will find street parking instead of just valeting.
Like, that to me is so I love finding out that kind of stuff about famous people, especially
Oh, yeah.
restaurant stuff. Do they tip? What do they order? How do they treat staff? Like, are they the kind of celebrity that has to be pulled out of a place because they won't leave the bar? Like, are they the person who pays for everybody's drinks privately? Like, who are they? And he's, at least at this point in his life, he's a cheap asshole.
Yeah, the stripper says that he comes in like he's this big man and just like sits back and lets everyone perform for him, and then he doesn't tip any of the girls.
Yeah. Speaking of the girls, one thing that I thought was really interesting about this article was that they go into, this is obviously very early Leo. This is before he has like a reputation necessarily
Yeah.
for dating supermodels. It was just like a thing that he was doing. So it's like, it was just interesting to read about how at this time, this is still when like the get in was good. So being a model that dates Leo, like it actually can change your life. And they talk about how one of the models, Vanessa Haydon, I think it's how you pronounce her last name. She was a new Wilhelmina model at the time. And they basically say like she like tricked him into giving her like a level up. Like she was hanging out with like gangsters in LA, and like she was covered in tattoos. Like she was like a gangster's girlfriend kind of bitch. And then she changed up her act and like started dressing like a slutty LA club girl and tricked Leo into like launch padding her. And then all of a sudden she's like a Wilhelmina model, and she's all over everywhere. Everybody's talking about her. And they're like, yeah, she used him. Like, it was crazy to watch him get like got by this girl. But it's just interesting. Like, that has changed so much. Now it's just like, he'll get a page 6 article like, oh, Leo's dating another 18-year-old. Here she is. It's like kind of run its course, I guess.
Yeah. It's so interesting how even after it got to the point where it was just like, here's another one and another one, that Leo never switched up his game. Like, Leo was never like, okay, I'm going to have a fake relationship with a smart, hot person. Like, do a sort of George Clooney where it's like, now I'm with a very hot lady who also, has a degree and a career and is a humanitarian. I'm so surprised he never did that, just to not have people kind of mocking him in this way.
I'm happy that you bring that up, because they do talk about how like he doesn't actually like this perception of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's very anti party boy Leo. Like, I think to him it's like, this is ruining my image as like a serious actor. Like, I don't want people thinking that I'm like, this wild party animal frat boy or whatever. So they say that he's image obsessed. He reads everything. He knows what people are saying. Like, and it really bothers him that people see him as like a womanizer, but it's like, well, okay, you're womanizing though.
Yeah, you can change that, my guy.
It's actually very easy. Do you have a Leo relationship that you were like drawn to when you were younger? Like, was there one? Because I loved him and Giselle. To me, that was like the moment.
Yeah, Giselle was probably the only one. Everybody else, it just felt so, I don't know. I'm just never that drawn to like model relationships unless
Sure.
they have a real lore and everything, because otherwise it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a hot person. Like, that doesn't, it's just a little too cliche, and it makes me like the person less, that it's like, oh, all you really don't value anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
Yeah, and
never drilled down too hard on, like, can you imagine if I was like, I just love Bar Raffaelli, and like that was like, oh, I was obsessed with that. Like,
yeah,
it's at
yeah.
least Giselle was just so, Giselle just felt so much more a part of pop culture, whereas I feel like most models, they never really, like, get their heels in. And like you said, it wasn't like he was making girls famous after a certain point, so it's
Yeah, it
kinda
kind of
like, whatever.
stopped.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you the blind item rumor about Leo going back as far as like the 90s has always been that he has a financial stake in it. Like he basically years ago signed like a partnership with Wilhelmina, and they say that they use him as like a launching pad for models, which is why it feels so transactional and like
Mhm.
routine. Like the way that it's reported about, it's like kind of always the same, and it's like they get this like debut, and then they either get really famous or you never hear from them again. But that's what people say, that he gets paid a certain amount to be seen with these girls, and then I'm sure they are also like contractually involved in it somehow. But after so many years, like I didn't believe that back in the day, but after so many years, I'm like, yeah, it kind of feels like, especially now when it's like they just do that stupid little like, let's go to Whole Foods together and launch you, and then you don't see them ever again.
Well, I never would have believed you previously until this article, because it seems like such a stupid thing, like, how much money could they even be giving him? And
Right.
then to read this article and to see how deeply cheap he is, where, you know, back in the day, what was probably ended up being like a $15 valet, he would prefer not to do.
Right.
Eh, it's like, okay, yeah, he might be just that cheap where it could be even like 100K kickback,
Totally.
and he'd
Especially in
take
an
it.
industry that refuses to move on from the past. Like,
Yeah.
when you read about how he, like that girl, the girl that I mentioned earlier that was like dating gangsters, all he did was walk outside with her like a couple times. Like he literally just left a bar with her, and it launched her to being signed to Wilhelmina and like all of these things. So especially like given the fact that at one time it was such a big deal, and it did like work so well for the benefit of these models and their modeling agencies. I can see how they like wouldn't let go of that.
Yeah. It's it feels like an IRL cameo situation where,
Yeah.
like, you give him 100K and he's like, "Alright, let's go out. Alright,
Yeah.
thank you so much."
Yeah, you come with me while I wear sweatpants and flip-flops to Whole Foods. Thank you, okay, bye. I also there's a lot of girls that I will temper that, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've gotten DMs from girls over the years that have, like, fucked Leo, and they always say that he is as weird in bed as everything you've heard, that, like, he has a ton of issues being able to, like, be erect. Like, he has sexual issues with women, and it's so consistent. They all say that he's just, like, a floppity fish, and yeah, is, like, very transactional, and, like, there was a rumor that he, like, couldn't have sex without, like, having music in his ears or something, like, but he was, like, very
Yeah, he would
manic
have
about it.
headphones on.
Yeah, and one girl messaged me and said like, told me this crazy story and was like, "Yeah, that is true." Like, and I have friends that have also fucked him that, like, work in as VIP cocktail waitresses and shit, and he is very manic about having his headphones on, like, he doesn't wanna hear you.
I mean, I would argue that part is probably true too, but it sounds very autistic to me,
Yeah, for sure. And
like
also just, like,
little
you've just
sensory issues.
yeah. He's like, "I need to be squeezing a plushie while we have sex."
Yeah.
Also just giving, like, I've had too much sex.
Mm.
Like, I'm completely tarnished now. Like, I can't even enjoy this no matter what, you know, uh,
It's
like,
so
weird things I
interesting.
do.
It's so interesting to, like, clearly not enjoy sex, at least with women.
Mhm.
Not that I'm saying anything any which way, but to not enjoy it and to be like, "Well, but I have to do it anyway
Yeah.
for whatever reason." Like, I have to prove to
Yeah.
myself that I'm a man or that I'm still young, whatever it may be, to not go, well, maybe I'm not enjoying this because of that, or maybe I'm not enjoying this because uh, I only have sex with women who are really hot, and maybe I'm not even attracted to this type of woman.
Yeah.
Maybe I need an emotional connection.
Maybe. And, like, yeah, for sure, maybe, like, because this is what's expected of me as Leonardo DiCaprio, like, he feels pressure to, like, keep being the ladies' man. Sort of like, his spirit animal, Jack Nicholson, who he's slowly becoming.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I just think that him and Jack are so two peas in a pod, and we are watching Leo turn into that cigar smoking pot-bellied man.
You know what it is? I think it's even more simple than one actor turning into another. It's the fact that all of like that type of male actor, it's just they're all the same.
It's true.
They're all the same. Like, there's a couple different categories of male actors, and to be a guy who grew up as, like, the hot playboy, serious actor, it's, well, I gotta keep that going till the day I die.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
It's
almost
so
like
true.
it's almost like where women, uh they are so obsessed with their youth and the looks that they had in their youth that they try and cling on to it for years and years and years,
Mhm,
but with men, they don't have to care about their looks
mhm.
quite so much. What they care about is still being the guy that can walk into a room and every woman throws themselves at them.
Yeah. Especially when it's become like, when it's what you're famous for. Like, it's one thing to just, like, be a hot celebrity or a hot male actor, but
Yeah.
when your entire career revolves around your beauty and people wanting you, and, like, there's no article written about you from this one to, J14 or whatever it is, that doesn't mention the screaming girls. I always wait for that moment where the person interviewing him talks about the screaming girls. Like, I approach his doorway and girls are screaming and crying and clawing their skin. And, there's that moment in this one. But that just must be such a weird mind fuck when, like,
Oh, yeah.
knowing,
When it
feeling like I have to keep that going. Yeah, when it stops and you're just like a grizzly older guy and young people don't even care about you anymore. Can I tell you one thing about this article that I selfishly was obsessed with because it scratched a selfish itch for me? The mention of Planet Hollywood.
Oh. No, you were a Planet Hollywood kid, were you?
Well, I had not gone inside of Planet Hollywood until I was like a teenager.
Mhm.
Um, but to me as like a kid, like when I was like little,
Yeah.
to me Planet Hollywood was Disney. Like, I didn't want to go to Disney. I wanted to go to Planet Hollywood.
Yeah. 100%.
I thought it was I thought it was the most magical place on earth. And I thought when I go there, like, Bruce Willis will just be like doing karaoke with Roseanne, you know? Like, the like, that was in my mind what it would be, and Anna Nicole's running around and pouring drinks, and
It
Naomi
was
Campbell's having
literally
a
Planet
daiquiri.
Hollywood.
Yeah, like, I really had that thought in my mind, like, this is, like, the coolest place ever, and they talk in this article about how, this is peak Planet Hollywood being, like, a pinkies up chic place and not, like, commercial. This is, like, when Demi and Bruce are still very involved, and they're getting photographed there, and Leo is, like, back and forth about becoming a big investor in Planet Hollywood with Bruce and Demi,
It's
so he
so
doesn't wanna
funny.
fuck that up. So one thing that has come out of this whole Nancy Jo Sales Pussy Posse moment is the fact that, unbeknownst to me, Nancy Jo did not coin the phrase pussy posse, which I didn't know. You told me that, and I'm shocked.
Well, and I gave you incorrect information. Well, all the listeners, we were discussing it a couple weeks ago when we were introducing the Nancy Jo month, and we are like,
Mhm.
and she coined the term pussy posse, blah 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 blah. So confidently, we were talking on it.
Well, a lot of people think that.
Well, so in the podcast that I referenced earlier, when I read the article, when I did see that she said, okay, this is how they're known. They are known in Hollywood as the Pussy Posse. And I was like, oh, okay, so wow, she didn't coin the phrase technically. She just reported on it. And then I listened to the podcast, and she goes, she hates when people attribute that to her. And she goes, so I would really love if everyone on the internet can stop saying that I coined the term pussy posse, because basically she's a feminist, and she doesn't use that word unless it's basically within the confines of the boudoir.
That's fair.
Yeah, totally fair, and makes total sense, especially when you think in the context of, I think one of the most interesting parts about being so immersed in nostalgia stuff is really remembering, and for us, like, pointing out to our audience that context is everything, and you really have to think of the time period. And back then in 1998, I believe she said she was like 30 when she wrote this article, a young feminist journalist would not be throwing around the word pussy. Like today, you could be like, yeah, I'm a feminist and I say cunt and I say pussy, but those were not, you would never refer to a group of guys as the pussy posse. Like, that's a
Yeah,
funny
that's
thing.
such a good point.
Like, that's a funny thing today. Like, a woman might make up and be like, yeah, they're the pussy posse. And you think of it in a real tongue-in-cheek way, which I do feel like, in hindsight, that's how we think of the pussy posse, in like not with respect, or like they're so cool and they get so much pussy and they're a group of friends, they're the pussy posse. It would be more like, oh yeah, the pussy posse over there, those fucking losers. But back then, it like, yeah, you just wouldn't use that word. You wouldn't use it in that context if you were a young feminist. And apparently they all are. I don't know if it was in the article or in the podcast, but I also just remember it in general hearing this, that, they did not like people thinking that they called themselves the Pussy Posse. And they said, oh no, that was, maybe the people around town would call us that, but we never refer to ourselves as that. And apparently the Pussy Posse leak. Oh, that's disgusting. Sorry about that. The Pussy Posse deep throat. Oh, does that not work either?
My shirt just got tighter.
The guy in the Pussy Posse that was talking to Nancy Jo, he said, yeah, they absolutely refer to themselves, like we all refer to ourselves as a Pussy Posse, but we don't want anyone to know. So it's
the
like,
leak, by the way,
a cool name.
It is very fascinating though, and when you put it in that context, I'm like, okay, yeah, like it would also be so weird for her to call them that when they're like, she's writing about them like kind of treating young women bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, and they're getting all this pussy. And it's like, well,
Pussy.
like you're basically writing about them all being like chauvinists. So it's like, yeah. But it is just so crazy that stuck. And it's such like, it's interesting. It's almost like, it feels like I just recorded an episode of my friend's podcast. My friend Louis does this podcast called Pop Pantheon, and we recorded a Pussycat Dolls episode. And we were talking about how in the early stages of the Pussycat Dolls, when they were just like in LA, they became like an LA institution, like a moving institution of Los Angeles. Like,
Yeah.
even though they're not like a restaurant or a bar or whatever, it's like the Pussycat Dolls was LA. And the Pussy Posse just to me feels so New York. It is so New York, like time capsule 90s A-list celebrity men. And the fact that like, you know, there was this like group, like it's like Leo, David Blaine, Toby, Lucas, like you have like your core group, but the fact that like any guy that like went out with them that night was also just like in the Pussy Posse, like it really, it just it's disgusting, but it has some kind of like, there's something about it.
Yeah, I do think though I agree with you that it feels so New York, but you can also feel the LA in it in the
Oh,
sense
for
of it
sure.
it really is Entourage. You know,
Literally.
like Mark Wahlberg can say all he wants that, well, it was based off me. It's like you were never the level that the show, like as a movie star. Mark Wahlberg was never his level, but
Mhm.
Leo was. And them being such hanger-ons, um, in the way they describe it in this article of how they just wanted to spend their time with him 24/7, how obsessed they were with just protecting him and orbiting him and, but also being, like, secretly resentful
Mhm.
that he got the success and not them, which I find really interesting.
And
Uh,
also, again, so LA. Like, that's such an LA thing.
yeah.
And also the women too, like they were like hooking up with all of like the hot young Los Angeles girlies. Like
Mhm.
all the cool girls on the scene at that time that were living in LA, they were being tornadoed and then spat out of the Pussy Posse, you know?
Yeah. Well, and there is a really interesting part of the article where they talk about how um, one day Elizabeth Berkley, who's fresh off of Showgirls, her
Mm.
publicist calls her and is like, you know, the boys, the boys, they want to see you, but don't bring your boyfriend. Um, and she was like, no, thank you. I'm like, absolutely not. And apparently her boyfriend is this, as they say, he's from Brooklyn. He's a real like dude. Um he gets wind of this and apparently they call again and they're kind of really trying to get her to basically like sex traffic herself.
Right.
Like um knowingly put herself in a very bad situation. Um so he calls one of the guys in the group that he knows and he's like, "Don't you ever talk to my girl again." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, why don't you come and say that to our faces?" So the guy's like, "Okay." And he goes to the hotel they're staying at and they get into a fight. And then one of them punches him in the larynx.
Oh yeah. Punches him in the fucking throat. Like that is so specific and hilarious to me.
And it ended up being a legal thing because he was hospitalized and they really damaged his windpipe. Um, but then it sounds like it was kind of buried, with that Leo weight he could throw around. But so yeah, they were it seems like they were very much trying to, you know, get the ladies of Hollywood as best they could.
And it's also just so quintessential, like, you know, you go to have a sexual experience with these men and you realize that all of them are just like absolutely horrendous in bed. Like Toby Maguire like humps your leg like a fucking dog and then rolls over and passes out in like a drug stupor. Like it's so not worth it. And like they think
Yeah.
they're so cool going around and having horrendous sex and like never having given a woman any pleasure or orgasm in their lives. And they're like, but let's keep it up. You know what I mean? Like I would
Yeah.
say at the very, very least, David Blaine likes to maybe go down on a woman. But aside from that, like that group of boys is not giving what they thought they were giving.
No, it's kind of uh it's interesting because you hear about certain movie stars and people say like, "Oh, you meet them and you're like, I know why they're a movie star. They're so charming." Um, when you're in a room with them, when they're talking to you, it really feels like you're the only person. And with these guys, you really don't get a sense from any person she talks to that anyone finds any of them, but Leo too, charming or someone who could maybe get a woman just like with their looks. Like if they weren't famous but had their looks and their charm and charisma could get women. It seems like these are just guys who need the proximity to fame because they have nothing else going on as far as personality, like anything attractive.
Yeah, they are men that are able to prosper in like a chauvinistic like world. You know what I mean? Like these
Yeah.
are losers at the end of the day. Like they're all douchebags and losers and they don't realize that like a lot of these places just dread them. Like
Mhm.
most of the places they go dread them and then it's like on top of it you guys don't even tip. Like you're horrible, annoying to deal with. You treat everybody bad. You're like all kind of predatory and you don't tip.
Oh, you know what I wonder what it is with them specifically is they were all child stars. And
Mhm.
so everybody kind of universally is saying they're so immature. They're deeply immature. They're like little
Mhm.
boys. And it's like, yeah, they started acting and none of them matured past that.
Yeah, they all are like 13-year-old boys that have like a lot of money and
Mhm.
unlimited toys. And
Yeah.
they're allowed to stay up as late as they want and whoever's mom is a cool mom and they can do what they want. Like it is
Yeah.
teenage boys out on the loose, out on the town and they can do whatever they want. That's the vibe.
Yeah, it's not like Brad Pitt who didn't get famous until he was in his 20s and had
Mhm.
to, develop a charm and a personality. It's little boys that are just running amok and ruining people's days.
It's true. Who from the Pussy Posse do you like who in your mind I know that the answer is probably Leo, but if it wasn't Leo, like are you waking up next to David Blaine and saying what happened last night?
Mm,
Like if
oh,
you
just
had to choose
me?
one. Yeah.
Hmm. God. Uh, I guess. I don't know. I never really was. Maybe it would be David Blaine. Um,
Mhm.
I'm I'm definitely not into magic today, but back in 1998, I was really
Mhm.
into an HBO magician special. Um, and I liked the David Blaine little TV specials and stuff. So, yeah, it might have been him because everybody else yeah, like God bless, but Lucas Haas, I wasn't going for
Ugh.
that.
I I think that my answer is also David Blaine because he's like the most convinced like he when I think about like seedy like 3:45 in the morning sex,
Mhm.
I think he's the closest that I can picture myself. But in a truly perfect world, I'm sitting on Tobey Maguire's lap while he plays poker all night. Like I am while he's in like a 7-hour hole, like a poker hole, and he's like
Yeah.
lost all of his savings, I'm bouncing on his lap and I'm refilling his drinks and I'm rubbing the back of his neck and telling him it's gonna be okay. And I'm his lucky charm.
I can so see that. Yeah,
Like I love I used to really love Toby.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mostly
Was it
though after Spider-Man though. It wasn't like it wasn't
Yeah.
like this time. Like after Spider-Man, I was just like, oh my God, like I love him.
Yeah, I feel like, um, just visually, it would be David Blaine, but I think if you put me in a room with him, that is just not someone that I would enjoy talking to. So I do feel like it would end up being Kevin Connolly.
Okay. I feel like I would like walk in on you and David Blaine and he's like levitating you off the ground against your will. Like you're like
It would literally he'd be like, "This is pretty cool, right?" I'd be like, "No, I hate being levitated."
you're cut in half in two boxes that are separated and you want to be put back together. He would definitely like weaponize his magic against you.
100%. It would be like, "This I'm not used to this." Someone just being completely unenchanted by me. He's like, "Well, listen, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna make you like this. I'm gonna make you interested." And I'd be like, "You don't even understand that you're making it worse."
I'm like, stop hypnotizing my friend. You're like always disassociative. It's full get out. I'm like, bring her back.
I'm walking around clucking like a chicken.
Yeah. Like the magician's assistant pipeline for you is right there.
It's right there, baby.
It's just right there. Like it's so close.
We end up Me Tooing him 10 years later because
Yeah.
he levitated my friend against her will.
He put her in a glass box filled with water and she didn't even know it was happening. She was completely disassociative.
But yeah, Kevin Connolly is unfortunately the kind of guy that at like a college party or something, or in my
Hell
early
yeah.
20s, him coming over with like hey, I'm unassuming and I've got a
Yep.
great personality and it's okay, I'm short. I'd
Yep.
be like, oh my God, is this my husband?
Yeah. He's like, I see you and I think that you're funny and equal to me. And then
Oh
he
my God.
never speaks
Oh
to you
my God.
again.
It would, a guy like him would know exactly how to play me like a fiddle
Yeah.
in my early 20s of like he's talking to me and I'm with a really hot girlfriend and like Leo's talking to her and then we kind of like really hit it off and he's like, I'm not into, those tall model-esque girls. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're the hottest one in the room. Like,
Yeah.
you're so smart and funny. Like,
He's like,
wow, you are so smart. I'd be
he's
like,
like, honestly, I
yeah.
hate big boobs. I hate them.
I
Big boobs are
literally,
annoying.
it's like, I just love like a little, God, Troy, I have gotten I just like love like a little handful. I've gotten that a handful of times.
Oh my God.
I just like love, like, I don't like big, I just want like, just like a little handful.
Ew, goosebumps. But see, and I've told you this before. Thank God I'm not a woman.
Oh.
Thank God for everyone that I'm not a woman because that shit would work on me, but it would work on me with every man that I walk by. Like it would work on me with every living, breathing male. I would be just like picked apart like by buzzards, basically.
Yeah, it would be really tough for you. You have to have some discernment. You'd be like Brittany from SLC.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. Like I would throw myself at men in a way that would like turn them off all the time. It's like you know that Kristen Wiig SNL character where she's hot and gross?
Yes. Yes.
Where she's like, I went bobbing for apples and all I got was a big mouthful of cow dung. Like that would be me, and I'm like, oh, I'm killing it. Oh,
At the end of the like towards the end of the article, the last section, um, Nancy has been going to all these different clubs trying to catch Leo so she can try and talk to him. She goes to a club and she sees a guy who looks just like Leo. She's like, "Is that Leo?" And her friend's like, "No." But it's this cute like guy in his early 20s. He's he's a finance bro or something. And she goes up to him and she says, "Do you want to be Leo for a day?" Because she realized, and she says this in the podcast, that she had just gotten to a point where she had to, the article was due and she didn't have enough. And so she makes this last ditch effort to create some sort of extra content to put in the article. So she has this guy come out with her and she gets a bouncer from another club, a guy that she's friends with, to come out and be the bodyguard. She gets Catherine McGann, the photographer for the New York magazine, to come out with them. And then he bring the guy, what was his name? Troy.
first of all, not only does he share my first name, but my middle.
No.
Yes, Dara. I'm Troy Allen. That's why I was freaking out. I've only met one other Troy Allen, I think, in my whole life. But like
God.
when I saw that and he spells it the same way as me, I was like, what the fuck? Troy Allen.
Oh my God.
I
You're
know.
Troy Allen.
I'm
You
Troy
also
Allen.
look exactly like Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm the Leo doppelganger from the 98 article.
Oh my God.
I know.
But so she takes him and like a couple of his friends out on the town to go around pretending like he's Leo. And basically the way she frames it is, she's talking about the trouble that he gets in with the pussy posse and all of that stuff and sort of the chaos and all of that. And she poses the question of, you know, are they attracting this because of behavior, or is it just because he's him, that it's kind of unavoidable for him to kind of have this chaos just come into his lap? And so it starts out, they go to a record store or something, and within minutes the bodyguard has to get them all out of there. It's just pure chaos instantly. And then she takes them all to Planet Hollywood and she calls the maitre d' and she says, we're going to be there with Leo in like 10 minutes. And they're like, "Oh my God, yes, ma'am." And they all go and it's the same thing. You know, they're able to be there for like 15 minutes before just the crowd starts to become a living, breathing organism. They basically they're like Demi Moore at the end of The Substance. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. They all have like 6 faces coming out of their chest. They like morph into one body.
yeah. And then by the end, at the end of the article, Troy Allen says, "I don't want to be Leo anymore."
It's actually it's like brilliant. Like
Yeah.
only a woman like Nancy Joe could not actually interview the subject, but then still write like such an interesting piece about the subject and like about their world, and you know, to even have like the insight to be like, I can do something with that Troy Allen person, something interesting, is like so cool.
Yeah. And she says that she was nervous that, this wouldn't amount to anything, that they'd go out and it wouldn't be a big deal. And it was pure chaos. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to read more articles like from present day that kind of have the same vibe, where it's supposed to be about a person, but then it ends up being about this whole other thing, and it's more of the experience. It's like its own
Mm,
standalone story. Um,
mhm.
like, yes, of course, would it be interesting to have Nancy Joe talking to Leo directly? Sure, but I think ultimately this was probably a way more interesting article than it would have been.
Oh, I 100%. I mean, the most interesting thing about articles like this is always what people say about the person.
Yeah.
The only interesting thing about, especially like a young person who's at the height of their fame, they sort of act as like I don't know, it's like Leo was the subject, but all he would have done is just say a bunch of narcissistic bullshit that
Yeah.
would make him look like an asshole. Like, you know, it's like better to understand them through the eyes of people that have nothing to lose by being honest about them. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have known that he's like an asshole who doesn't tip if this whole thing was his perspective.
Yeah, and it really forced her to seek out all of these other types of people that are just
Yeah,
in the orbit, either, for one night as a service person or as a friend. She really had to get all these different perspectives, and it ended up making it such a richer tapestry of like what the world looked like, both during that time period in general, but just the people surrounding him. Again, like the bling ring was a great microcosm of 2010, and that like the end of the sort of, blog culture. And then last week's article, I'm with her, was a perfect little snippet of like 2007 Hollywood, like Hollywood High. This is such a great snippet of just Leo Mania.
yeah, yeah. And Leo Mania, I mean, unless you lived it,
Mm,
if you were there, it was like
yeah.
every heartthrob has had their, flying close to the sun moment, but Leo Mania was, I mean, it's the mania that launched a million ships. Like it launched careers. It changed the film industry. It changed special effects in film. It changed how much actors get paid. I mean, everything. All of Hollywood was affected by Leo Mania. All of Hollywood.
Yeah, I saw on TikTok recently someone was talking about how um like the younger generation, because they've seen so many nostalgia pieces and deep dives on
Hmm.
YouTube and TikTok, that they've sort of almost deluded themselves into thinking that they were there for it and that they truly
Totally.
understand the context of it all. Um and like how there's a difference between being a teenager and experiencing a pop culture moment and being like an 8-year-old experiencing it,
Yeah.
maybe only through the eyes of like an older sibling or something, and how you still don't
Totally.
really get it. And I saw one person comment that like, "Oh yeah, exactly, like with Titanic, like people think they know what that was really like, but if you're like 7 or 8, like you couldn't have actually known." And I was like, "Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm." That I was actually moved to comment, to reply, and I never bother myself to do that. I was like, "No, no, 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 no." 8 years old, I was seeing that movie in theaters 3 times.
Hmm.
My classmates and I were obsessed with the Titanic to a crazy degree just because of the movie. We were so obsessed. Like, I do remember this as a person who was a part of it. You can give that argument about a lot of things that you can't really know about it if you were 7 years old. But Leo Mania, you can count yourself a part of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that like the fact that it like transcended even into like our, like we all wanted to learn about the Titanic. Like, who's to say what legacy the Titanic would have in modern culture if it weren't for that movie? Because yeah, at 8, 9 years old, we were all showing up to school with an arsenal of our Titanic findings, books, magazines, memorabilia. Like I remember just like we would literally gather at like a communal lunch table and just put all our Titanic shit in the middle and just go nuts. Like, because it was just so all encompassing. And I also think too, like, even though younger people now have access to be able to view these things, I think if you didn't experience celebrity beat pre-internet,
Mm-hmm.
if you weren't like fully sentient and like a person who's aware of their surroundings during a time when you could be the most famous person in the world without the internet, you just won't ever know what that was like. And I always say, like, I just don't think people can be, you can be the most famous person in the world in 2025 and you're still not as famous as the most famous person in the world in 1998. You never will. You can be Taylor Swift and you'll never be as famous as like Michael Jackson, because the world just doesn't, we just don't, it just isn't possible anymore.
There's just too many famous people now.
Yeah, like we can all just be famous now. So it's like the lore of it. Like we used to actually look at these people as non-humans.
Yeah. Whereas now we we see the humanity in all celebrities, big and small. But no, they were
Listen,
like there was, I think also because there was no social media and the star themselves was not like curating the sort of like inside look to their lives and like, this is what my house looks like, and here's a picture of me and my husband when we were young that I'm posting for our anniversary. Because we weren't seeing all of that stuff, it made it so much easier to look at them as just characters.
exactly. As like they don't do stuff that we do. Like you could hear that like Michael Jackson sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber and it's like, well, yeah, like he's, you know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
that, like, whoever, like Diana Ross has some insane, crazy thing where she won't walk into a hotel unless everybody's turned away from her. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like we were really, really accepting of all of those crazy, eccentric things of famous people because we didn't view them as equal to us. Whereas now, like I've watched Doja Cat poop on Instagram Live.
Well, actually, it's funny that you're saying that, because not the poop part, but because, in the tabloids, stars, they're just like us. And it's
Mm-hmm.
them pumping their gas or whatever. And I feel like today that that part of the magazines are very uninteresting. It's like, of course, they go to the grocery store. Like, we see them, posting a picture with their grocery haul. Like, this is
Right.
that they're, of course, getting money off of and didn't actually go buy themselves. But we have an awareness of like, these are the things that they do or pretend to do for their Instagram to show that they're relatable. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have that. So seeing them pumping their gas was like, oh, that is humanizing.
Right. And like even down to hearing like a cocktail waitress say what he's actually like or what he orders. It's like, oh my God, Leo orders blah blah blah. Like knowing even those tiny little things about somebody. I remember I used to go around telling people all the time, adults by the way, that Britney Spears' favorite ice cream was cookie dough and that her favorite candle was vanilla. Because just knowing those little things
Yes.
was like major. It was like, oh my God, did you know Britney
Did you
Spears
know?
loves vanilla ice cream? It's like, oh, amazing.
It's like, well, yeah, it's kind of a flavor that is universal. But you don't think of it that way because you don't think of that person as universal.
Right. They're a god
Yeah.
that has touched Earth, and it's like, and they chose this ice cream, and now I have to. But yeah, I love this article. I love Nancy Joe.
Ugh.
I can't get enough. And I just thought that this was like wildly entertaining. Like, I had heard about it, but I don't know if I'd ever really read it. And I'm so happy that you brought this into my life.
Oh my God, Troy. Thank you. I'm happy to enrich your life in any way that I can.
And we're going to start our own we're going to start a dick posse.
The dick posse. That really has a great ring to it.
The girls will be wearing the merch. Actually, that'll be our first merch launch. Everything will just say dick posse with nothing alluding to our podcast.
The dick posse.
We're the dick posse. Hey, yeah. Hang loose or whatever.
Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
Hi, it's Eva Longoria, and let's be real. After 40, we should ask for more from our skincare. I swear by Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. With vitamin C, pro-retinol, and hyaluronic acid, it reduces my wrinkles, firms, and brightens. And it's not a procedure. It's just a hardworking moisturizer.
Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. Grab it today in fragrance-free or with SPF 30. Available at your local Walmart.
Well, Dara, I adore you. I love you so much.
Oh my God, and I love you, Troy Allen.
And we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. We do these on Patreon as well, but on Patreon we talk about current magazines. So if you loved this discussion and you're not subscribed to our Patreon, you should go over there and listen to us talk about things that didn't happen in 1998. We're talking about them now, honey.
It is What's Your Issue Weekly, and
Yes.
there's actually a public episode, so you can get a little taste for it. There's an episode not behind a paywall, so you can kind of, if this doesn't give you a good enough preview of how we talk and interact.
Yeah. Obviously, whoa, I just had a stroke. I was gonna say something, I don't know what it was. Anyway, oh well, whatever.
Well, yeah, we're on Patreon. If you were listening to this and you would prefer to see our faces, go on YouTube, What's Your Issue Podcast, and watch our video episodes there. And we're on Instagram and TikTok, What's Your Issue Show. I think that's it.
That's all we got, ladies and gentlemen.
That's all she wrote, Mama.
Thank you guys for listening, and we love you very much, and we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.